Hey tribe, welcome back. As you can see, today I have the most stunning guest, Dr. Lekalakala. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thanks. Thanks for bringing me here. I was quite worried when you brought me.
Why? Why were you worried?
Because, I feel like I don't have financial literacy. I can't be in a space with you. I just feel like you're so financially literate. But you've been so warm and so inviting. So I'm actually quite excited now.
No, and that's the whole point of this podcast and YouTube videos is that we are not taught these things. We're all trying to figure them out as we go along the way. And we're saying, okay, let's amplify our own voices and our own experiences when it comes to personal finance so that people see that it is doable to get financially secure at the end of the day, right? So how I got to sort of experience it the first time, I was like, oh my word, somebody finally said it. And honestly so, right?
Yeah.
The road to home ownership. You did a video on TikTok and it was like a series where you were talking about your pitfalls, all of your heartache and
the fact that I was really bewildered and blindsided by my experience.
All right. We'll definitely get to that. I just want to go back. I always try to take it back to get to know who is Dr. Cat.
Okay. So I am a girl's girl. I grew up in Pretoria. And that's where I actually also studied medicine. But then I started my career in medicine in Johannesburg, which was quite a shift. I'm also a mom.
Yes.
Which I always bring forward. That has been one of my most exciting positions to hold.
Yeah.
And I'm now working in the NGO space. So when I got in here, she was laughing at me because she was like, when are you a doctor? So I'm not a doctor in the traditional sense anymore. You know, I provide clinical support. So it's mostly my education and my background that really is anchoring me in my current position. I'm my man's girl.
Hey, man.
My man.
He my man.
And I'm a first-time homeowner.
First-time homeowner.
In a sectional title.
Yes. And that journey for you to want to own a home, obviously you had lived in an apartment before. What prompted you to want to be a homeowner? Was it like an emotional thing that attracted you to home ownership? What were the conversations when you were growing up around your parents where you told that, you know, for you to have made it, you have to own a home?
I love that. Yes. So it was completely an emotive buy, and that's why we'll then go into the blind side and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So when we had our daughter, we were still staying in an apartment, as you said. We were renting at that time. And the funniest thing is that we still felt like we were spending quite a lot to be renting. Although now we're spending more.
Yeah.
But, the space became quickly very, very small because now we have our daughter, it's myself, my man, and then also we have the nanny.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-bedroom, right? And then also it didn't have... like a backyard, like what you have.
Yeah.
It had an open area, which didn't feel safe. It just didn't feel conducive for what we wanted for her at that time. So that's when we then started to toy with the idea of getting into a home. Okay. That toying quickly went into us getting the home.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like we took enough time. Yes, we didn't take enough time to really decide what do we want. Okay, so the first thing we did is that we looked at the area.
Yeah.
And then we realized that, okay, the area that we want to stay in, we definitely cannot afford for what we want.
Yes.
Okay, so we wanted a 3-bedroom, we wanted space, we wanted a backyard, yada, 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 yada. Okay, couldn't afford it in that area. So now we look at areas where we can afford that still allows us to reach wherever we need to reach to, properly. You know, we didn't want to go to the south. No. Okay, fine. And then that's when we then find this home. And yes, speaking to the conversation you have with your parents, my parents were pushing me to get that home because yes, it's seen as like some sort of a, how can I say it? Like this thing of
It's a sign that you are going in the right direction.
Yeah, an ode to like your success and your achievement, right? Like, yes, you're doing the right things. It's like you're following a manual of how to be the perfect adult. And that's what I feel like we fell into, right? And also this notion that renting is you throwing away money and it's just wasting.
Yes, you're paying someone's bond, right? That's what they say. That's what they say.
My parents. Okay, but yes, that as well, which was kind of like quite a lot of pressure, if you think about it, because obviously now I think differently, and we'll go more into that. But yeah, so that's what then pushed us to get into our home. It was mostly surrounding the space for our child, and we were so excited, girl.
And you know, like I was about to say, it sounds like, yes, now you start toying with the idea, but it's no longer just an idea. It's the excitement that's pushing you to say, oh my gosh, we need to find our home, and we need to find it now. So between the two of you, you are literally getting like super excited and
you
saying,
can see it, you visualize it.
Yes.
And you have this idea of like, oh, you're gonna have your child, you're gonna have the garden, and
how you're going to live and your lifestyle, how it's going to support the lifestyle that you want, and also how proud your parents are going to be, you know, when they finally see that, oh my goodness, our kids are moving in the right direction, they're married, they have a child, now they've bought a house. Like you're saying, it's like a manual that we follow. There's a script that most of us want to follow.
I love that you said there's a script that we're trying to follow.
Yeah.
But also another thing for me, going back to the emotive side, right? We had a home similar to the home that I have now. And then unfortunately, because my mom was in quite a lot of debt, it then led to her losing that home. And for a very long time, then we moved into a much smaller home, we just moved around quite a lot. And for a very long time, I've always held on to that feeling of being in that house. And I think even with getting the house that we got, it was just to somehow fulfill that, because I felt like I got cheated out of, you know, really enjoying being in that home. It was such an amazing journey for us when we got into it. I remember the excitement my mom had. I remember her fetching me at school and telling me that she's been approved. We went through it like best friends. Like, you know, when we viewed the home, when we finally got it, when we moved in, when she did my bedroom and all that stuff, and then within a few years, she can't pay for it anymore, and now it's attached, it's gone. Yeah, it's repossessed.
You know, you are talking about, you know, like when I talk about money, I never talk about the hard numbers, because those are just numbers. What actually drives us are the emotions and the things that we've experienced. And one of the things that you've just brought up was you losing your home, right? And often we don't realize that there are bonds that we create when we experience that friction. So you experience losing your home, there's something that you told yourself. There's a vow that you made that
my child won't experience
exactly won't experience that. Or I'm going to make sure that I have the most beautiful, you know, there's always a vow that we make when it comes to our finances when we experience such trauma. And it sounds like that's exactly what you went and did.
Yeah, we have financial trauma, definitely. And you're right, because for me it was like kind of like a gift to my inner child.
Yeah.
And like, because I mean, when I say to you, I was so excited living in that home, to a point where even the way I chose the home that we live in, it had to spark the same type of emotion that I felt when we got into that house.
Yeah, that is incredible. So now you, from excitement to actually saying, okay, we're going to buy this house. How long did that take? How many months or years was that?
I wish it was years, girl. I wish it was years. I don't know why we told ourselves that we're running out of time. I don't know why we told ourselves that. Fine, yes, the space was getting smaller, but we could still do.
You still could make do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up in I didn't grow up in a small home, but I've been in small spaces before with small children. Yeah. And it wasn't terrible, you know. I don't know why we pressurized ourselves, so it took literally maybe 3 months.
3 months?
Probably even a month. Probably. Let me be honest.
No, my God.
Literally, or maybe 2. I don't know, but it wasn't long.
Months. It was not long.
We waited for the house for long, but we had already signed off. We didn't even have the deposit. Can I just tell you? My mom had to give us the money for the deposit.
Literally, I was about to say, so you didn't have the chance to say, okay,
let's save up.
Let's save up for a deposit. No. This is what it's going to cost.
It was purely emotive. Purely emotive. Yes. And I love that you say that you're not going to speak about the hard numbers, because this is what people don't understand. That a lot of the times that we get ourselves in the binds that we get ourselves in is because we are trying to navigate that space from an emotional perspective, right? Without informing ourselves. So what happened is, we wake up, baby.
You and baby, you look at each other like, I'm man. We can do this.
And they're in love again. One cutie, what jumper? Ah, baby. This baby needs more to jump in. Yeah. You know, and then
look, when we want to entertain. I think that's what we tell ourselves, man. We are young couples.
You know, so we're like, let's do it. Fine. And I also need to say this. Do you know I didn't even plan my career around where I was going to stay? So that also became like a big thing, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so fine. So I decided, no, now we're looking for homes. Our area can't afford. Yeah, we're living in Melrose.
Of course.
They were starting at 4 mil. Said,
like, baby, that's not going to work right now.
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah, okay, not yet.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm. So fine, let's go to the areas that would work, right? And I remember there was one sectional title. We knew we were going to go into a gated community, not really an estate. We don't feel like we could afford to build a home, like buy a plot and then build a home. Yeah. We wanted a house where no transfer costs. Mm-hmm. So that says a lot about our financial standing at that point. Okay, no transfer costs already, right? Yeah. And it shows the urgency that we had. Because transfer costs, you can do them. You just then need to plan for it, right? Okay, so no transfer cost was a thing for us. We wanted a new development. And they were popping up everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Sharp hour. We check out this new development. Man, it's not that cute, you know? And then we see there's a lot of like hidden things. But there was this other one, which is our home, that we always wanted. We called them and they said we're fully sold out. Then they call us a week later to say that someone
has specced out.
Well, no, they were not approved.
Okay.
Yeah, they were not approved. Mm-hmm. Then they said, please come in quick.
Quick, yeah. If you don't come right now, someone is going to grab this.
You will never have a house again. You feel like you're gonna be living on the streets.
And I'm sure baby is looking at you like, I have to get this. We have to get this. This one is gonna be upset.
For him, he was actually a little bit more patient than I was, but he's like, it's fine, let's go see it. Yeah. Right? It was really not in the area that he wanted us to go into, and he kept saying, like, it's a little bit too far. I said, no, babe, let's just go try. We go. Let me tell you, that salesperson, chef, she got us. Look at this. I promise you, I looked at our house on a monitor. We did not get into a house. The showroom had been sold. When they said everything was sold out, even the showroom, the show house was sold out.
You looked at your house on a
monitor. On a monitor. We had an idea. There was a video.
You didn't get to walk inside it?
No. We were in a, what was it called? We were in the clubhouse. But I look at the clubhouse. And listen, the clubhouse was great. We're going to have a restaurant. No restaurant.
Still.
No. We're going to have all these things. You know, they sell you this dream. Yeah. And you see yourself there. And I mean, they have those little people in the monitor. I get it. And they're jumping around, whatever. And I remember I was so obsessed with it that I even got home and I would look at the website and I would plan my home constantly. Like, this is what I'm going to put here. I'm going to put this here. No. And literally they said, we needed a response within 3 days. We gave them a response within 3 days. We said,
and it was yes.
And then they said, we're going to help you. And that was also another big problem that I guess we need to speak to. They did our financing.
You didn't get your own bond originator?
No.
Mudimo.
No. We did it through them. So because they did it with a bank that I work with or that
you've been a client,
I felt okay with it and everything is with it. But I never, ever for
imagine
a second...
like, okay, maybe let me get different options.
No.
Let me
and that was
shop around.
That was a problem because I was already operating from a place of like, they doing me a favor. And that's the thing. When you feel kind of like you're being pushed into a corner, you will act like someone who is in a corner. You know,
you are giving away your power, basically.
Yes, and we did. They didn't do anything wrong. I don't want to come across as that. They did what they need to do is their job, right? But both of us, I mean, my partner does own an apartment and he's happy with it, but home ownership is very different.
Yeah.
But we just didn't think, okay, let's rise, let's open up, let's do all these things. So then we said yes. And that was literally within a few months.
My word. Okay, so what I'm gathering, number one, you were quite excited, you were in a rush, you didn't have a deposit, you didn't check your credit score, you didn't say, oh, what kind of interest rate are we going to get? And can I shop around? So already these are like 6 things that were going on and literally stacked up against you.
Because it felt like we couldn't shop around because we got
you
so many
have
people
to
who have this house.
decide on it and go with it immediately.
Yeah, and I mean that emotive thing. Congratulations, you're approved. Congratulations. That I'll never forget it. Like, and then you're like excited and you're celebrating. Like, what the hell am I celebrating? So much debt. Like thinking about it now, I'm just like, that was so ridiculous. It's like thinking back to it, right?
Yeah.
Now that I've
in
opened myself up to a lot of these conversations, and I was really a first-time homeowner, and I think my partner also wanted to please me.
Yes.
I think quite a lot. But
Shane, they do that.
Yeah, they do. They do, and they do catch themselves in these kind of situations where it's just like,
look, I've been there myself.
Thank you for that.
No, I've been there myself. Like remember we were talking about renovating the kitchen.
Yeah, I love it.
I was obsessed. I was like, no, I hate this kitchen so much. We need to do this. We need to do this. And we saved.
That's her kitchen.
Then they came like this time for the stone. I initially had chosen something that was pretty just okay. Then I saw this stone. I said, I cannot have any other stone.
Yeah, because then why should I have a kitchen?
Yeah,
we'll never
then we might just stop.
Yeah.
Then we might just stop with the whole thing.
Let's leave it. Let's all stop. No one's eating ever again.
Then I mean, he's my partner, and he's like, okay, I want to see you happy, so let's go. So I completely get that, and that's one of the things that I picked up earlier. That even for him, he just wanted to make sure that you get your home where you feel like, okay, you know what, we can build a home and build a life together.
But he's such a great person. I mean, so my mom actually paid for our deposit.
Yeah.
Great woman. Because she really wanted to see this happen. Because we had to have the money then. We didn't even have time to save up whatever. But then he paid it back quick.
Yeah.
So it also showed to me that he really did have the intention of helping us build this home, and the way he was so invested and in everything. But a lot of things happened after that. So now it's a new development, right? So new developments, you have to wait for some time. Girl, what is this occupational rent? What's that? It's just throwing away money.
Yeah.
It's basically,
and you haven't moved in, but there is something that you pay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our house was not ready, but it was now on us that, because obviously we have a lease with these people, right? And we were so fortunate that the people that we were renting from loved us. We had created such a beautiful relationship, so they at least allowed us to stay in that place pro rata. So we paid our rent until we could move in.
Yeah.
Because it was either that or we move into our home earlier, but the transfer hasn't happened, and now you must pay occupational rent, which does not go towards your bond. It goes to nothing.
Yeah. And to who?
So even things like that, things I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know things like that.
Yeah. Sure. All right. So you're going through all of this. Your mom has paid the deposit. You move in by when?
It took long. It was supposed to be done by December, and then earliest occupation. So occupation could have happened in December for some people, but they would have to pay occupational rent. But I think they had promised at least Feb, but we only went in way after May.
Jeez. So a couple of months after having concluded the transaction.
Because it was after my child's birthday. So my child's birthday is in May.
Yeah.
And you see, it was also emotive. She was one.
And you wanted to have
I got engaged that year. It just felt like so many big things. Got engaged. My child is one. Oh, now we're moving into our house.
Of course. All of these exciting things. And what are the conversations you're having with your partner now? as this transaction is somewhere like, you know, you're about to move in, but you're not actually just yet. What are the conversations you're having about this property?
So because I was purely emotive and luckily he was purely rational.
Yeah.
We did have quite a few fights and squabbles where he kept going back and forth with me like, Katleho, it doesn't make sense for us to move in and pay this occupational rent. Because I was like to him, but we're still paying rent, yeah. So it's also just throwing away money. He's like, it's way less, honey.
Just stop.
But I wanted
be
to be in that house so badly. We got really frustrated. We got really, really frustrated at some point. We're frustrated with each other. We're frustrated with the developer. And then we finally move in. And then, because also you're moving around your movers quite a lot. You've paid your movers. You know, you've planned your finances according to the dates that they promised you, and they keep promising. And it's just getting really irritating and causes a lot of misery. That we didn't even realize that there's still going to be other costs as soon as we move in.
Yeah. I was going to come to those, of course. Gonna come to those. That okay, now you're a homeowner. Congratulations! You can show your key on.
That key, I even remember they even put a bow on our door. Guys, this thing is all emotive. We were so excited. So now we move in. The movers even like chip our walls. Oh, it was just like so annoying. But we finally got in there. But yeah,
now you are in your house, the day has come, and you're sitting in your home for the first time. That first night, there's nothing I love more than moving in together on the first day. Like things are still unpacked, probably you're just sitting on the couch and you're looking at each other with this like, oh my gosh, we are finally here, right?
I still look back at that. Yeah, we actually even did like a video call with a lot of his family members because they were just so excited. It really felt like a very proud moment.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And for me, I never want to take away that proud moment of getting into your first home, whether it's a flat, whatever, you know, if that home ownership, it really does something for you. But then there is, okay, that's done. Now the bond goes off.
Oh,
The
bond. So it doesn't go off the first month, right? Yes. And you feel chilled. Nice. It only goes off the next month.
Yeah.
Oh, then you're like, woo.
Okay.
Then that interest rate started hiking up. So we moved in.
So you got in
2021. So every month, our bond was changing.
Oh my word.
Yeah, 2022. Sorry, 2022.
Yeah,
yes, 2022.
Yes, but I mean that's when they were really hiking them up every single meeting. Yeah,
every meeting. Yes, it was 2022. Yes. Until like last year, we were just like whoa.
Every other day is like whoa.
Because I mean, like, and I guess this is also quite important to share. When we first looked at our home and we decided that, okay, fine, this is the home we can afford.
Yeah.
We didn't think of those things. And the funniest thing is we didn't shop around, right? So we didn't ask for a fixed rate, right? So I think it was
You didn't negotiate the interest rate that they gave you.
We did.
Okay, you did.
A little bit, but we could only go as much.
Yeah,
you know? My credit score is good, by the way.
Yes.
And his credit score. So we're both good, but so we're both good, but we could have shopped around and then gone back and been like,
other people have said this.
So I mean, so we had already decided that okay, we had budgeted around that first figure, right? Even when you sign at the offices, whatever, they show you the figure.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, by the time we moved in, that had changed drastically. Number one. And number two, it now was like these deposits that you need to pay.
Yes.
An ESCOM deposit. What? I don't know what that is. Now this is ESCOM deposit. Now your levies are not what they said it was going to be.
No, they never are. They absolutely never are.
Yeah, it's a benchmark, right?
And for me, just as a note, for someone who's buying a property, let's say it's not a new development, always ask the people who stay there for a statement for at least for the 3 months to see what their levies have been for the 3 months, and you can sort of like get an average from that, because what they put on Property 24 versus what you get is completely two different things.
Completely. Even my sister was saying, because my sister also got into home ownership, I think, in the same year, and she was also just as straight up, also quite emotive. And she was saying, like, her, and I'm just gonna give fake figures. Her first, the levy they told her was 700. Now she's paying 2,000.
Oh,
that's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a massive difference. Yeah.
So it was that, right? Oh, honey, and then you know what else shocked us?
Yeah.
Electricity. I got the house is big now.
Hey, of course. You wanted the big. Here's a big house.
And now you
electrify the big house.
And now you moved in Gawinita.
Baby, you were seeing quite a lot.
We saw flames. Then you go to the first general meeting. So not like an AGM.
Yeah.
You go to a meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so the first meeting before the AGM, whatever, right? And people are fighting. And you're like, why are you fighting? Because you're so excited. I don't know. I just thought like we're going to get there and there's going to be like cakes and stuff. And people are like fighting because they're from different phases.
Yeah.
So also that, like, I just didn't understand that like different phases have different things. Then you need to form a homeowners association. Guys, I still don't get it. And
who are the trustees and everything else.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And then you just find out that like people are just not happy with a lot of things. So it is good that you do prompt people to actually do research in terms of even that. Like go into the property that you're interested in, try make friends, speak to people and see who's comfortable and get levy statements, get things like, if you can get access to the financials, try get access to it.
Yeah.
Find out what is actually...
No, but by law, any complex, whether it's sectional title, you deserve to get those financials.
Even if you haven't
but you can request them from people who are selling the property to say, I want to see the financials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
No, absolutely.
Because someone on my
right.
TikTok said they wouldn't possibly give you financials unless they know that you really
I mean, you are a serious buyer, so
Yeah.
you want to make the informed decision. So, I mean, if I wanted to sell my property, I would send anyone those financials that we do get.
And also, someone said this to me on the other day on TikTok, and I'd like to get your insight on this. They said that the other thing that you need to discuss before you move in is how they deal with people who don't pay for their levies. I didn't think about that.
That's a big one. That's a big
that has
one.
obviously impacted us, right?
Yes.
With these special
So
levies.
normally they'll involve lawyers as your complex to say, okay, you've missed 2 months or 3 months. We're gonna start collecting through lawyers. But obviously those are services that you guys pay for.
Exactly.
As a complex, as an entire people who are living there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was shocked that different estates work very differently. Some people can switch off lights, but apparently that's not actually okay. So you can't switch off lights.
Yeah, it's a lot. Home ownership is a lot. And obviously now the interest rates are rising, and it's changing your budget every single time. How are you coping with all of that?
God's blessing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to lie to people. I don't want to say like something happened like magical, like, you know. What happened is my partner got a promotion. He got 2 promotions in that time, which meant a payment raise. I moved up ranks in terms of being a doctor. So when we actually initially signed for our house, I was an intern, and then I went to a ComServe, community service role. So that changes your budget quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean your pay quite a lot. And then what happened? Oh, then my campaigns were really you know, going off. So that's what really helped me. Really helped us, because honestly, we would be speaking a different tune. I would never have been able to buy my car, because I only bought my car like later on.
Yeah.
I think I only bought my car last year or the year before last. But either way, it was much later
after the home ownership journey. Yeah.
Home acquisition. Yeah. So I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to pay for the nanny that we have. We honestly would have struggled. And I mean, even speaking about that, we had to get like 2 nannies. Or 2 people working in the home.
Yeah.
Because now the home is bigger, so you can't expect the nanny to be running after the toddler and
also cleaning the
house.
entire house by herself.
Going to be so unfair. So even that cost, didn't think about that.
So what have you learned throughout this entire process? Of course, you're happy in your home right now, but obviously you'd want to perhaps, own other properties or move, because I mean that's what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I live here,
It's not
this
a
is
forever
comfortable.
home.
Exactly. So what have you learned so far,
One,
despite the frustrations?
yeah, I'm still very happy. I still feel very blessed to have my home, and I think that's what people are not getting. And they think that I'm trying to deter them from home ownership. In actual fact,
I don't know how people listen.
yeah,
I don't know how some
that's
people
not what I
listen. That is
want.
not what
That's
we are
not-
saying. That's
yeah.
not what you. I did not get that from
Yeah,
your
I
message,
don't want people
because
to be scared.
for me, when we moved in, we had prepared. We had saved up and all of that, but it was a home that. Like an elderly couple were living here and wanted to change the ceiling and all sorts of things. So we also underpriced ourselves when it came to that. We actually found that, oh my God, it was actually going to be
budget
more
for
money.
renovations will be
Yes,
so much more.
it's going to be so much more. It's not a deterioration to say don't get into home ownership. Do, but go in with your eyes wide
Open.
like super wide open.
Yeah, and don't
We didn't
allow
talk
them
about
to
we didn't talk about the fees for lawyers. How did you go about that?
we didn't have fees for
Oh,
lawyers.
because it was a new development.
So no transfer. So
okay,
the only thing we had
okay.
to pay for is that deposit,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Which luckily accrues interest and they give you the interest back,
Back,
which is
okay.
a nice part.
Yeah.
So something I definitely learned was one, do the research. So go in with your eyes open but informed, okay? So that even if you do find like a hurdle, you do know how to get around
Yeah.
it, okay? To listen to people when they say get a plumber and get your own somebody in, not construction, but like somebody in that kind of like world, a personal one, to come in and actually look at your house.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of the times you won't pick up the snags.
Yes. Just
You
like
won't-
getting a second-hand car.
Oh, get your own
Get your own
mechanic.
mechanic.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay, yes.
yeah.
So get that, because unfortunately you won't pick up the snags, and once it's lapsed, it's lapsed. So that's on you, right? So we did have some issues even with that. Okay. 3, shop around with your banks. Don't be afraid. Don't feel forced. They do want your money. If it's meant for you, it'll definitely be yours. Don't put yourself in a corner, and they will use emotive words to keep you there and to make you think that you are not as empowered as you actually are. But at the end of the day, they also want to make the sale. So rather make the sale. Don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. So I'm quite a people pleaser. And as I said, I felt like I was doing them a favor for getting, or they were doing me a favor by, because it's the last house. Bad. So I went through it completely emotive. And you know what? Rent for as long as you can while you're shopping.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
not saying rent for the rest of your life, but don't think that you're wasting money just because you're renting. You're paying money to live somewhere. It's not like you just like, you're living on a leaf. Okay. You're paying to stay somewhere. And that might buy you time to then get into the home that you really want. And that you can use that to save. Because I mean, when I talk about it, the difference between our rental amount to now is 18,000 rand. Yeah, 17,000 rand.
17,000 rand.
That's a huge jump.
That is a massive jump.
That's a huge jump. So if you think about it, spending more time paying 11,000 rand to get to this 17,000 could have really helped. Because remember, if you now start throwing in money in between to break up that interest cycle, whatever, the interest rate cycle, that can really help you out a lot, So even if it was the plan to spend that amount, I really think I should have spent more time saving to be in that position. Just don't be emotive about it. Be informed.
Be informed, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, the emotions can come, obviously, once you move in, and you can be happy. Man, it has been a ride.
A beautiful one, though.
It has been a ride. And you have learned so much out of that experience. What is the one thing that, you'd want to teach your child about home ownership?
Don't do it for me. She mustn't do it for me. She doesn't have to you know, she doesn't have to do it for me. I felt like I did it for my parents, and I did it for the status and all that stuff. As I said, it was pretty emotional. And then get involved if you can get involved. You know, get involved in the. I don't know if I could become a trustee though. I won't lie.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of work.
It's quite a lot of work, and I honestly don't have the time. But I think somebody also shared on my TikTok that she's so thankful to her mom that her mom used to take her to these meetings, so it made her very aware.
But you see, also like for me, just thinking about teaching kids about money, it's those things that also matter. You know, I had my financial planner. I had my financial planner come here at the house, and my kids were just running around. I mean, we're not sitting with them at the table, but
they have that association. They understand that that's a part of adulthood.
Exactly.
That this person will come into our home. Oh, great.
You see.
Yeah. So exposure, I guess, is pretty important. I mean, she's 3 now, so she's not gonna listen. But definitely when she's much older, I can't wait to tell her the story. And I'm glad that people like you exist where you can capture my story. That she's something that she can reference. So I think
isn't that also the beauty about like what we do?
Digital
that your
media,
kids,
I love it.
And that your kids have a point of reference to say, oh, this is what my mother went through at this time, but you know they made it out on the other side, and you know these are the lessons that I can take from there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and also you're not bound by your contract with your bank at that time. You can renegotiate.
Yes. Actually, I had another interview, and this lady was saying exactly the same thing, that she had owned her own home for many years, and she went back to the bank to renegotiate her interest rate. She's like, I've never missed a payment. My credit score is really good. Yeah, I can also do that. See? And now we're forever learning.
Thank you so much.
You were brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing and having no filter about your journey of home ownership, because these are the conversations that we really need to be having so that we avoid all these pitfalls.
Yeah, I just think also we need to stop judging people. And also another thing, please don't be scared to downgrade.
Ooh.
But that can be a next topic.
That's the next topic for sure. And also for me, what I always say around downgrading is that you're not downgrading your entire life forever. You can say, I'm downgrading for a year, for 2 years to get myself back up so that, you know, I springboard myself to the next level.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly that.
Thank you. So you actually, like, she is stunning in real life. Stunning. And thank you so much for opening yourself up. Thank you. Cheers for now, tribe.